we are the company that makes big GPU clusters and sells them and rents them out to people. We have been told that we are one of the fastest growing AI companies in the world.
Because you guys you started the company 6 months ago, and next month you'll be doing around $10 million in annual profit.
So we thought it would be a great idea to, instead of doing our music model company, we would just start a competing cloud provider, a competing GPU provider, and just sell short-term contracts and just bet the company every month for 6 months.
Just bet the company? So you're telling me right now, if you theoretically don't have any contracts locked in for next month and you're on a month-to-month basis, the company dies?
Yeah, sort of.
So Evan, you're the founder of one of the fastest growing AI startups right now.
That's theoretically true. Theoretically true.
Theoretically.
Correct. Fastest is like a whole term. I think we have been told that we are one of the fastest growing AI companies in the world. I don't know how real or true this is, but boy, have people told it, and boy, would I love for people to believe it.
Because you guys you started the company 6 months ago, and next month you'll be doing around $10 million in annual profit.
Yeah. So we right now we have one cluster online. So we are the company that makes big GPU clusters and sells them and rents them out to people. We're one of the many companies that do this. And we sort of started and we got a cluster online, and that puts us at about $1 million a year in sort of annual profit. And then we have sort of 10 times more compute capacity coming online in March. And you can take $1 million and you can times it by 10. And that's how numbers work.
That is exactly how numbers work.
Yeah.
So to kind of take a step back, I remember sometime late last year, people started coming to the office with the SF Compute merch. I started seeing it all over Twitter. You guys went viral for a while for this poster that you put up.
Indeed.
But to start from the beginning, how did you guys even come up with the idea of renting out GPUs?
We were doing a generative music model company, sort of generative audio company at one point, but mostly we were trying to make a consumer mobile app that was effectively Midjourney for music. And so we flew down to LA, and my co-founder dyes his hair because in LA everybody has dyed hair, and so you have to. I think it's the law.
For the valuation, or just
no? I think just
socially?
for vibes. Okay. I think you have to dye your hair. And we met with these very lovely, wonderful music producers who are still friends today, and they're amazing and great. They actually have a company called iCore today. They ended up starting a company that's sort of works with anime studios and does image generation for workflows at anime studios. So I have to shout them out. iCore is really cool. And they let us stay in their place. And then we were making this music model. And so we went and tried to make a first version, and it was pretty good. And we do the thing that every AI startup does, which is okay, now we have one, let's go scale it up and make the much bigger version of it. And so we go out to the market and try to buy from the existing GPU providers, and sort of everybody says, sorry, no, the minimum purchase is $1 million, and for the amount that you guys need, well, probably $3 million, and we did not have $3 million, which is sad. We had about 400K at the time or so.
You're close to 3 million.
It's close. So we wanted to buy for a month or maybe a few weeks, but we wanted to just buy for the period of time that we needed to scale up our model, and not have to buy this long-term fixed contract.
But most companies weren't selling short-term contracts.
Nobody.
Why not?
Because if you sell a long-term contract, boy, is your market safe. Boy, have you lowered the risk. And if you sell short-term contracts, then every single month, if you sell a month-long contract, every single month you have to sell out or sell a large portion of it, or you go bankrupt. And so that's what we did. So we thought it would be a great idea to instead of doing our music model company, we would just start a competing cloud provider, a competing GPU provider, and just sell sell short-term contracts, and just bet the company every month for 6 months.
Just bet the company?
Yeah. So we would if you cannot sell short-term contracts for the next month, then you sort of don't have any money coming in, and you can't pay your expenses, and then you go under. So
you're telling me right now, if you theoretically don't have any contracts locked in for next month and you're on a month-to-month basis, the company dies?
Yeah, sort of. We've reduced the risk now.
Okay.
It's been 6 months. We've figured out ways to reduce the risk quite a bit, and make this less risky for us. But yeah, for the first 6 months or so, we would just bet the company every month, because nobody else in the market wanted to bet their company every month.
I wonder why.
I know it's crazy. They're crazy, especially because you're not just betting the company every month. You're betting the company selling to startups and to grad students. Like the people that buy short-term periods of like compute is like some grad students at Harvard, and they graduate in May, and they have a $100K grant, and like like they got it from Schmidt Futures or something, and. Boy, do they just need to buy it right now, and they're never going to recur, and that's the maximum budget that they have. And 100K for in this context is like very small. 100K, right. Sort of minimum purchase before is like $1 million, so 100K is a very small amount of money in compute land. And so no reasonable cloud provider in the world will ever look at the grad student who's going to graduate in May and only spend 100K and think, boy, do I want to bet my company on them. But we would like to, because nobody would sell to us. And so that's what San Francisco Compute is. It's the company that sells to the people who nobody else would sell to.
When you were starting this company, because it would take a significant amount of money, I would assume, to get a company like this off the ground.
Yeah.
How did you convince investors to give you that money? Or were you using like personal funds?
No, we were quite bad at raising from VCs, I think, broadly. In the most part, so we did have a few core investors who sort of provided the sort of initial capital for that. And most of it was Alana Goyle, who runs Base Case Capital. And she's been like maybe our most helpful investor if you are a founder and you are looking for like a great investor to be on your side. Base Case Capital, kabam, there's my shout out. But for the most part, when we were fundraising, we would go out to VCs and they would sort of say one of a few things. First, they would say, sorry, we've actually already invested in one of the many GPU competitors, GPU providers. So thus we cannot invest in you. Or they would say, sorry, wow, there are a lot of competitors already, and so we don't want to invest in you. Or they would say the actual smart answer, which is, boy, does this look like a cash flow business and not a venture business?
Right.
And boy, does it look like you're going to get commoditized, and like probably you will just like immediately die in year 2 or something like that. And we said, well, but like Yunha from Harvard can't buy, like, and like Find can't buy, and like those are our homies, and like all our homies can't buy, like our friends can't buy, like people, like the people who we like and would care about and think are doing really cool projects, like can't buy, and so. We're just going to do it anyway. You can tell us that it's probably all going to die anyway, and that seems like a reasonable thing to do. I think our like actual real answer to that though is that if you if you're betting on racers and one of the racers comes to you and says, "Hi, there's this really big hole in the road," and another racer comes and says, "There's no hole in the road." What the hell are you talking about? The person who's going to fall in the hole is the person who didn't tell you that there was a hole in the road, who like doesn't know that there's this big looming problem. And so we, like as the San Francisco Compute Company, from the beginning knew that there was this hole in the road, which is that at some point the market, like if you're betting the company every month, you're like betting on the market to not fall off for you for some reason. And so either you have a really good reason to think that the market will continue to exist for some reason, or you have a strategy to handle that. And I think we have a bit of both. Mostly I would say we have a strategy to handle that, that we are not a normal GPU provider in any sense. Like for reasons that we cannot quite reveal yet, I think within a few months, I think that would be like pretty clear that we're not like the standard GPU provider.
And so for you guys to now, you've raised, at that point you raised a little bit of money, and then how did you go from 0 to 1 million in profit? And what does revenue look like for you to have that much in profit?
So revenue for that is roughly 4 million.
4 million a year.
We sort of did this almost immediately, that we got a cluster online, and then, so like our growth has looked like these step functions where you like get a cluster online and then you're fine, and then you like get another cluster online and then you're fine, and then you get another cluster online and so on. So like basically we only have one cluster online right now, and we have 2 more coming online in March. Though like clusters, disclaimer, clusters are occasionally delayed, and so on and so on. So who knows? Maybe it can be delayed, but we think we're like relatively confident that it's coming in March. Though we will disclaimer.
But where did the first users come from?
Right, where did the first? We knew everybody personally. I think, or lots of people personally. So my co-founder and I used to run AI Grant. If you're familiar with AI Grant. And so we just like ran the first batch, and then I think for a long time, we've just known a lot of people. Also, Alex, my co-founder, was one of the co-founders of Metaphor, which now renamed to Exa, and which is this like sort of language model search company that has been around for like 3 years or so. And for Metaphor, they like bought and operated their own GPU cluster, and had almost similar problems to what we had when we were doing the music model.
And so I think you were in a obviously maybe not to the same scale, but you were in a similar position to a lot of like, I guess, second time founders in SF, where you're building something for a problem that you had, or you're building something to solve a problem of your friends that you know that everyone has kind of like gone through.
Yeah.
What was the process of actually reaching out to these people and saying like, hey, we have the solution? Or did you just throw up a tweet and that was it?
Text message?
Oh, you just texted everyone?
Yeah. If you know everybody who wants to buy, like we wouldn't have done this. Like to do this, you literally have to bet like incredible sums of money, and kind of like everything that you're doing, on your ability to sell to other startups and to grad students and other folks like this. And we like wouldn't have taken that bet if we weren't like really, really confident that we could sell to lots and lots of people. So yeah, I think we did a bunch of different things that ended up going quite viral. So initially when we started this, we were not thinking of it as a company. We were thinking of it as, oh, how do we just set up a cluster that a lot of startups can use? It turns out for lots of reasons that makes it hard for you to get a loan, because if you like take no margin on it, then you're way more risky and all sorts of problems. So it ended up like being our full-time company instead of just like this side project. But like we did a big Hacker News launch that was very successful. And then
what did the launch look like? You just put a tweet out? I mean,
yeah,
like
we just put like a text message or text post on Hacker News. It's like, yo, we're like setting up a cluster. It's cheap. It's for startups. Nobody would sell us a cluster. If this is your problem too, please fill out the form here. That was kind of it. Got like 700 points on Hacker News and went to the top. We just like, turns out a lot of people have that problem. Yeah, which we knew, of course, already because like
you had gone through the
like yourself. We had gone through it. All our friends had gone through it, and it was like pretty clear why the existing cloud providers did not want to do this. Is that they risk a large portion of their inventory on selling these short-term contracts to people who won't recur. And if you aren't super embedded in the space, then and you don't know everybody and you don't know what their plans are, then yeah, it looks like a really dangerous, risky bet. And it kind of is a really dangerous, risky bet. It's like not a thing I would recommend other GPU providers doing, because it's like kind of dangerous. It's not even a thing I would recommend us doing for a long period of time. But maybe it was sort of our unique advantage was having already known all these people. Also helps that we were the San Francisco compute company, which meant that we could like literally go down the street and like knock on a door in order to sell to somebody. Like I think we met one of our customers at a giant game of tag that I threw.
Were you one of the guys that threw the giant game of tag in the park?
Correct.
There was one that got rained out like recently.
Yeah, we moved it. It's happening.
That's so fun. I'm on the party full for that.
Yeah,
so
either
funny.
this weekend or the next weekend.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
We host these like several 100-person game of tags, or I do, I guess.
I didn't even realize.
Yeah, I think we met somebody who ended up like being our customer because we like.
How much was the contract size for them, like revenue?
I don't think I can reveal that.
Okay.
So I won't reveal what individual customers are selling.
Okay.
But the reason I'm like cool sharing our like metrics is because on our website, you can just look at the entire state of the cluster and see like, oh, like how much of it is sold? How much do we have? What's the price? And if you wanted to, you could just, and you had like any knowledge about how the GPU market works, you can just back calculate all of our metrics.
Interesting.
So it's not me revealing anything that isn't literally on the front page of our website.
And then based on the front page of your website, how much would the average kind of consumer pay, or does it vary like drastically?
Like it's going to be somewhere between like 40K and 250K. Like consumer, there's no consumers here.
Or like,
but yeah. Like companies are like buying in that range. And this is like a small amount of compute sort of, depending on how your definition of small is.